You're trapped in a cycle you didn't design. Symptoms appear. You buy a product. It works temporarily. The problem returns. You buy again. Your bathroom shelves hold 30 to 50 bottles. Antihistamines, pain relievers, digestive aids, sleep support, and you're spending $40+ monthly on interventions that never address the root cause. Meanwhile, 10 healing herbs growing in indigenous polyculture systems for centuries are either in your yard right now or can be added this weekend to any space you have. Even apartment balconies. This isn't about abandoning modern medicine for serious conditions. This is about health sovereignty for the 80% of household issues that don't require a doctor but currently require your wallet. We're going to break down specific plants, specific compounds, specific uses, and the preparation methods that turn your garden into a self-replenishing pharmacy. Let's start with the plant you're killing right now because you think it's a weed. Plantain. Not the banana-looking fruit. The broad-leafed plant growing in every lawn crack and garden edge you own. You're spending $12 to $18 on antibiotic ointment and bandage supplies every time someone gets a cut, scrape, or insect bite. Meanwhile, plantain leaves contain allantoin and aucubin, compounds that accelerate wound healing and fight bacterial infection. Chew a fresh leaf for 10 seconds to break down the cell walls. Apply the pulp directly to the wound. Cover it. Indigenous cultures used this as frontline trauma care. Modern studies confirm it reduces healing time by 30 to 40% compared to leaving wounds untreated. Think about it. It grows in compacted soil where nothing else will. That means it's working as a soil breaker in your polyculture while providing medicine. You're not cultivating it. You're just stopping the war against it. Now let's talk about thyme. You might have it in your kitchen as a dried spice you use twice a year. Here's what you're missing. Thyme contains thymol, one of the most potent natural antiseptics and expectorants available. You're buying $15 bottles of cough syrup that make you drowsy and taste like chemical fruit punch. Thyme tea, 1 tablespoon fresh leaves, or 1 teaspoon dried in 8 ounces of boiling water, steeped for 10 minutes, breaks up chest congestion, kills respiratory bacteria, and costs you approximately 8 cents per dose if you grow it yourself. It's a perennial. Comes back every year. Plant it once, harvest it forever. But here's the reality. It also works as a living mulch around taller plants, suppresses weeds, and attracts pollinators that improve fruit set on nearby crops. You're not adding a decorative herb. You're installing a multifunction guild member that happens to replace your entire cough and cold aisle. Calendula is the third plant most people walk past without recognizing its value. Those bright orange flowers you see in ornamental gardens? They're anti-inflammatory powerhouses, triterpenoids that reduce swelling and promote tissue repair. You're spending $10 to $20 on hydrocortisone creams for rashes, eczema, minor burns, and skin irritation. Calendula infused oil. Pick 2 cups of flower heads, cover them with olive oil in a jar. Let it sit in a sunny window for 4 weeks. Strain. Outperforms over-the-counter cortisone for most minor skin issues. No side effects, no recurring purchase cycle. It self-seeds aggressively. 1 packet of seeds becomes a permanent addition to your garden. Plant it near tomatoes and peppers. It attracts beneficial insects that prey on aphids and whiteflies. You're building pest management while growing medicine. That's how indigenous polycultures worked. Every plant served multiple functions, and the system became more resilient with each addition. Think about what you just learned. 3 plants: wound care, respiratory health, skin inflammation. You've replaced $30 to $50 of monthly pharmacy purchases with plants that cost you $6 in seeds and $0 in maintenance after establishment. But here's what most people miss. These aren't isolated specimens sitting in decorative pots. They're guild members. Plantain breaks compacted soil and feeds it back to surrounding plants when you chop and drop the leaves. Thyme suppresses weeds and holds moisture. Calendula attracts predatory insects that protect your food crops. You're not building a medicine cabinet. You're building a self-regulating ecosystem that produces health as a byproduct of proper design. Indigenous growers understood this. They observed relationships. They didn't intervene. They arranged conditions where the plants did the work. Here's where it gets interesting. You're about to see how prevention costs less than treatment, both in dollars and in time lost to being sick. Let's talk about echinacea, the purple coneflower you probably recognize from ornamental landscapes. You're spending $25 to $35 on immune boosters every cold season. Pills that claim to support your system with isolated compounds and fillers. Echinacea root and flower contain alkylamides and polysaccharides that demonstrably increase white blood cell activity and reduce the duration of respiratory infections when taken at the first sign of symptoms. Dig roots in the fall after the plant has gone dormant. Wash them, chop them into small pieces. Cover with vodka in a jar. Let it sit for 6 weeks. Strain. That's a tincture. 1 dropper full 3 times daily at the first tickle in your throat cuts cold duration by 2 to 3 days on average. One plant produces enough root material for 5 years of tinctures. You planted it once. It's a perennial. It comes back. And while it's growing, it's attracting goldfinches that eat aphids on your other crops. Peppermint is the 5th plant, and you're already familiar with it as a flavoring agent, which means you've completely missed its functional value. You're buying antacids, anti-gas pills, and digestive enzymes for $15 to $20 monthly because your gut rebels against the processed food and stress you're feeding it. Peppermint contains menthol and rosmarinic acid, compounds that relax the smooth muscles of your digestive tract, reduce inflammation in your gut lining, and kill harmful bacteria while leaving beneficial flora alone. Fresh or dried leaves steeped as tea after meals prevent the bloating, gas, and indigestion you're medicating after the fact. It spreads aggressively. Most gardeners treat that as a problem. Here's the reframe. Plant it in areas where you want ground cover, or contain it in a pot and use it as a pest barrier around brassicas. Flea beetles hate the scent. You're installing digestive medicine that doubles as pest management. The cost? $2 for a starter plant that will try to take over your yard within 2 years. Chamomile is number 6, and this is where the cost comparison becomes almost offensive. You're spending $12 to $18 on sleep aids that leave you groggy, dependency-prone, and still not addressing why you can't sleep. Chamomile flowers contain epigenin, a compound that binds to the same brain receptors as benzodiazepines but without the addiction risk or the hangover effect. 1 cup of chamomile tea 45 minutes before bed, 2 tablespoons of dried flowers steeped in boiling water for 8 to 10 minutes, improves sleep onset and quality without pharmaceutical intervention. It's an annual that self-seeds so aggressively you'll be pulling volunteers for years after one planting. Let it. Chamomile improves soil health as it grows, and when you chop and drop the plants after flowering, you're adding nitrogen and organic matter. It also attracts hoverflies whose larvae devour aphids at a rate of 1 larva consuming 40 to 50 aphids daily. You're building sleep support, soil fertility, and pest control in one plant. Now let's address the dependency cycle you're trapped in. Pharmaceutical companies profit when you treat symptoms repeatedly. They have no financial incentive for you to build resilience. Your garden operates on the opposite model. Perennials return annually. Annuals self-seed. The system becomes more productive with less intervention as relationships develop between plants, soil biology, and beneficial insects. Yarrow is the 7th herb, and it exposes this contrast perfectly. You're buying anti-inflammatory pills for joint pain, menstrual cramps, and minor injuries. Spending $20 to $40 monthly on NSAIDs that damage your stomach lining with chronic use. Yarrow contains salicylic acid, the same compound in aspirin, plus flavonoids that reduce inflammation and promote blood clotting. Tea or tincture works for pain relief without the gastric erosion. It's a perennial that tolerates drought, poor soil, and neglect. Plant it once in a guild with nitrogen fixers like clover, and it mines minerals from deep soil layers that shallow-rooted plants can't access. Then makes those minerals available when you chop and drop the leaves. You're extracting subsoil fertility while growing pain medicine that costs nothing after establishment. Lavender is number 8, and this is the chronic issue plant that saves you the most money long-term. You're trapped in the anxiety medication cycle, $10 to $50 monthly for prescriptions that come with dependency warnings, sexual dysfunction, weight gain, and emotional flattening. Meanwhile, lavender flowers contain linalool and linalool acetate, compounds that interact with your GABA receptors to reduce anxiety and improve sleep quality without the pharmaceutical side effect profile. Studies show lavender essential oil in a diffuser or dried flowers in a sachet near your pillow reduces anxiety symptoms comparably to low-dose benzodiazepines for mild to moderate cases. Make a tincture from fresh flowers or dry them for tea. One established lavender plant produces enough flowers annually to replace $200 to $300 in anxiety medication for situational stress. It's a perennial that thrives in poor, rocky soil where other plants fail. Plant it on slopes for erosion control, or use it as a border plant that repels deer and rabbits from your food crops. You're installing mental health support that doubles as wildlife management. Valerian is the 9th herb, and it addresses the sleep issue from a different mechanism than chamomile. You're buying sleep aids that work through sedation. They knock you out, but don't improve sleep architecture, which is why you wake up feeling worse. Valerian root contains valerianic acid, modulates GABA activity to promote natural sleep onset and deeper REM cycles without morning grogginess. Dig roots in late fall after 2 years of growth. Wash thoroughly. Chop into small pieces. Make a tincture using the same method as echinacea. 20 to 30 drops in water 1 hour before bed improves both sleep latency and sleep quality. It's a perennial that self-seeds moderately and tolerates partial shade. Perfect for understory planting in food forests or alongside nitrogen-fixing shrubs. The flowers attract beneficial insects, including parasitic wasps that control caterpillar populations on brassicas. You're growing sleep medicine that integrates into polyculture pest management systems. Here's the pattern you need to see. These aren't standalone remedies competing with pharmaceuticals on a symptom-by-symptom basis. They're guild members in a self-regulating ecosystem that produces health, food, soil fertility, pest control, and pollinator support simultaneously. Indigenous growers didn't separate their pharmacopoeia from their food systems because the same design principles applied to both. Observation plus arrangement. You're not fighting your environment. You're creating conditions where beneficial relationships develop naturally. The 10th and final herb ties this together because it's the most versatile plant in this entire list and the one that will save you the most money if you only plant 3 herbs total. Garlic. You know it as food, but you're missing 90% of its medicinal value. You're buying antibiotics for infections, paying doctor visit co-pays for minor bacterial issues, spending money on immune support supplements. Garlic contains allicin, one of the most broad-spectrum antimicrobial compounds found in any plant. Active against bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites. Raw garlic crushed and consumed within 15 minutes of crushing delivers maximum allicin concentration. 1 clove daily during cold and flu season reduces infection incidence by 63%, according to multiple studies. For active infections, 3 to 4 cloves daily in food or as a tincture shortens duration significantly. It's a perennial in many climates if you let some bulbs over winter. Plant individual cloves in fall. Harvest bulbs in summer. Replant the largest cloves immediately. One initial purchase of seed garlic, $12 for a pound, becomes a self-perpetuating supply that saves you $100 to $200 annually in antibiotics, immune boosters, and sick day losses. But here's what makes garlic the anchor plant. It works as a pest deterrent, a fungicide, and a companion that improves the health of nearly everything you plant it near. Garlic spray. Blend raw cloves with water, strain, dilute, spray on plants. Controls aphids, spider mites, and fungal diseases without chemical inputs. Planted near roses, it reduces black spot. Near fruit trees, it deters borers. In your polyculture vegetable beds, it occupies vertical space without competing for light, provides medicine and food simultaneously, and builds soil sulfur content that benefits brassicas and alliums. This is the indigenous design model. Every element serves multiple functions, and the functions support each other in ways that reduce your labor and your spending. Let's break down what you just learned across these 10 plants. Initial investment, approximately $35 to $50 in seeds and starter plants. Annual maintenance after establishment, close to zero. Perennials return, annuals self-seed, you're just harvesting. Pharmacy replacement value per year, $400 to $700 depending on your household's health baseline and current medication spend. But the real savings isn't just financial, it's time. You're not driving to pharmacies. You're not sitting in waiting rooms. You're not managing side effects from medications that created new problems while solving old ones. You're checking the garden, harvesting what you need, preparing it in 10 minutes or less, and using it immediately. That's health sovereignty. Here's the quick start roadmap if you're overwhelmed by 10 plants. Start with 3. Plantain for wounds and bites, garlic for immune support and infections, chamomile for sleep and stress. Those 3 cover 70% of household health issues for most families. Plant them this weekend. Plantain is already in your yard. Just stop killing it. Garlic goes in the ground in fall, comes up in spring. Chamomile seeds scatter in any disturbed soil and germinate within a week. If you're in an apartment or dealing with HOA restrictions, all 3 grow in containers. Plantain tolerates part shade and neglect. Garlic needs 6 hours of sun minimum. Chamomile wants full sun but forgives inconsistent watering. Total container space required, 3 5-gallon pots. Total annual cost after initial setup, under $5 for potting soil replacement. The mindset shift you need to make is this. Stop asking, what do I buy to fix this symptom? And start asking, what relationship am I missing in my system? Your body isn't a machine that breaks down randomly. It's responding to inputs. Stress, processed food, chemical exposure, disrupted sleep, chronic low-grade inflammation from environmental factors. The plants in this list don't just treat symptoms. They support the underlying systems that maintain health when they're functioning correctly. Indigenous cultures understood this because they observed. They watched which plants grew near each other. They noticed which ones appeared after disturbances. They tested applications carefully and passed down knowledge that worked. You're not abandoning modern medicine for serious conditions. You're reclaiming the 70 to 80% of health maintenance that never required pharmaceuticals in the first place. You now have the prescription codes. If this rewired how you see your garden, share it with someone still spending their weekends at the pharmacy instead of harvesting from their yard. You can stop paying and fighting.